Hey everybody, we're starting a new unit called Pythagorean theorem, and this is the Pythagorean theorem is used to find the missing side length of a, and you're going to fill in the blank with right triangle. And this is the right triangle, to the two sides, or what we call legs, and we'll call them A and B. For our purposes, sides A and B are called the legs. And then we have side C here, and this is called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Noose. Alright, there you go. So, these are called legs, and if you want to label them over here just so you know. And then this is our hypotenuse. So, the equation for the Pythagorean theorem is that you can find the square of A and the square of B. You add them together. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And I'm going to attach a video proving why. We're not going to do the proof, but if you really are curious, you can go watch that video. So, we're going to start by adding the two legs to get the square of the two legs to find the square of the hypotenuse. So, we're going to figure out what the hypotenuse is. So, I'm going to do all these two. You guys are going to do these, and I'm going to show the answers. Then we're going to find the legs for those two, and then we're going to tell me whether it makes a right triangle or not. Then you'll do practice, and you'll round to the nearest tenth. So let's get started. We have a right triangle where this is a leg, and this is a leg. Remember, the legs form the right angle, so we know that they are the legs. And then the hypotenuse is the long side. The hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side. So we have 5 squared plus 12 squared should equal x squared, because we don't know what x is, we're trying to find it. So 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, and that equals x squared. So 25 plus 144 equals 169. So the square root of 169, oh, well, let's go back. I just took a step forward. So now we have equals x squared. So we need to figure out how to get rid of the square so we can get x by itself, because we want to know what just x is. Well, we've done this before. If you want to undo a square, you're going to take the square root on both sides. And so now we have the square root of 169 equals x, because these two cancel each other out. So now we have the square root of 169, which equals 13. So x equals 13. And you can check your answer by plugging it back into your original equation. And you can say 13 squared, which is 169, plus, and then you have 144 plus 25 gave you 169. If they both equal the same on both sides of the equal sign, then you know you got your answer right. If they equal different numbers, then you know something went wrong. All right, I want you to go ahead and try the next one. This one has a leg and a leg as well. Well, how about we do this one together, and you guys can do the next one, the next two, and then we'll go over the answers. So we have 18 squared this time plus 15 squared equals x squared. So again, we figure out what 18 squared, which is 324, plus 15 squared, which is 225, and that equals x squared. So 324 plus 225 equals 549 equals x squared. Now we got to take the square root. Now I'm just going to write it over here because I know that's where it's going to end up. You can write out the steps like we did last time, but you don't have to. All right, there we go. 549. Square root of 549 is going to equal x. And again, I just canceled out that squared to get our x. And so the square root of 549 is 23.4. And I'm going to round to the nearest tenth for all of these. You could round to the nearest hundredth as well. So now we have about, because I rounded, x. X is about 23.4. And that's your answer. All right, go ahead and try the next two. Pause the video, and then when you come back, it'll show you the answers. As you can see, for the first one, we got 32.2, and those were the steps that I took. Pause the video if you need to go. And for the second one, I got x equaling 15, and there are the steps if you need to pause and look at how I got it. So for the last four problems, we had to find the hypotenuse, the longest side. So this time now we are actually missing a leg. And so how this would work is that you'd still say the leg plus the leg equals the hypotenuse, or the leg squared plus the leg squared equals the hypotenuse. So this time we're going to say x squared plus 8 squared, and that should equal 10 squared, because this is our hypotenuse, this is our leg, and this is our leg. So now we have x squared plus 8 squared is 64, 10 squared is 100, and we're going to now need to get x by itself. Well, because we're adding 64, we always start by getting rid of addition or subtraction. To do that, we subtract 64 on both sides of the equation. This will leave us with 0 here and x squared left. 100 minus 64 gives us 36. So then now we take the square root, so we're left with x over here, and the square root of 36, which leaves us with x equaling 6. Now we're going to do that again over here. And if you need it, I can still show it in the screen. We're going to say, again, we have leg here, hypotenuse here. So we're going to have x squared plus 23 squared equals 25 squared. So then you can say x squared plus 529 equals 625. So now you have x squared, and we're going to subtract that 529. We're moving it to the other side of the equal sign, so now it's subtraction. 625 minus 529. And we're going to say the x squared equals 625 minus 529 is 96. And take the square root of both sides, leaving you with x equaling the square root of 96, which x then will equal 9 about. This one is a rounded one. Remember, when it's rounded, it's about 9.8. All right, go ahead and try the next two. Pause the video, and then I will show the answers. So as you see, I've shown both answers. We have 4.2 plus x squared equals 9 squared, and then we had 17 squared plus x squared equals 18 squared. Now, some of you might have noticed that up here we had x squared plus 8 squared and x squared plus 23 squared, but down here we have 4 squared plus x squared and 17 squared plus x squared. It doesn't matter the order you put them in. I could have put x squared first. I just wanted you to see it both ways because both ways will still get you the same answer. Remember, when we're adding, it doesn't matter the order as long as you're adding. So we got the answer of x equaling 8.1 and x equaling 5.9. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and email me. So now we're going to say, is this a right triangle? So I'm going to do the first one, you're going to do the second one, and pause the video, and then check for the right answer. So now we have A equaling 3, B equaling 4, and C equaling 5. So remember, again, it's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So our A squared is going to be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. And this one we're saying, is it a right triangle? Because if it's a right triangle, these will have to equal up. This Pythagorean theorem always works for a right triangle. If it doesn't work, that means it's not a right triangle. So we're going to go and prove whether it is or not. So 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. Well, 9 plus 16 gives us 25, and it equals 25. And since 25 does equal 25, we do have a right triangle. So yes, it is. And that's your answer. The yes part is the answer. Solving this doesn't tell me whether you know if it's a right triangle or not. The yes or no is what tells me it's a right triangle or not. Now, you do need to show your work to prove it, because you can't just give me an answer because you can guess. It's a 50-50 shot at being right. But you need to also let me know that yes, it is, or no, it is not. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and answer if A equals 9, B equals 15, and C equals 17. Again, 9, 15, 17. Will you make a right triangle? So as we see, this is not a right triangle. We had 81 plus 225 equals 306, and 17 squared equals 289. That does not equal each other, so I put a not equal sign instead of equals because they do not equal each other. So therefore, it is not a right triangle. If they do not equal each other, it will not make a right triangle. So now you've seen examples of both. You're going to do the practice for homework, and it says round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So you're going to answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there is another page with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So you have 1 through 12 to answer 12 problems, all just like the ones you had before. So use those as your examples. If you have questions, let me know, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.